And yeah, here we are at Chatham Dockyard, the upper mast house there, and this huge big building, the covered slip. Back in the 1850s, it's one of the biggest covered areas on the planet, apparently. Gonna have a quick wander up there in a minute, and some few interesting things in there that especially my old Navy mates will probably be interested in. Mast house over there, the mast pond is actually further over in the car park, and that's not actually part of this little exhibition area here. You've got the smithies workshops there, blacksmiths and everything else, and they've got a fantastic collection of models from ships of the line from, you know, a couple of 100 years ago. But there we go. Little fire station there from the dockyard, and there's various dry docks and everything else going all the way along here. HMS Gannet was one of the first steam-powered ships, steam/sail-powered ships. HMS Ocelot, which is one of the last submarines ever made here. I think it was the last submarine made here, diesel-type submarine. And HMS Cavalier down there, built in World War II. Done a little bit of the Atlantic convoys and all the other bits that are associated with that. So I'm going to have a quick wander around the big space, as they call it here, and have a quick look-see. Fantastically big area this is. Lots of mechanical things. So here we go. This covered slip enabled ships to come in with their masts going up. Yeah, remember these things, transport, little Lister engine that would plod on for hours. Big old torpedo there. This is an interesting thing that I never realised. If the Germans knew that we had one of these, I wonder whether things would have changed. Radar operated searchlight. World War II. We've got a nice Polaris missile there. Hopefully it's not live. I'll get my hammer out and bang the end. Is that a nuclear deterrent? Run by the Royal Navy, taken over from the Air Force because they can handle it. I reckon there's a few fellas that I know, and some of my mates from the Navy, who will recognise that. Looks like an Admiralty 3-drum boiler, whereby there's a big furnace in there, powered up by oil burners made with used with furnace fuel oil. I think it was like a big crude oil, mixed with air, fired into there, boiled up the water up in top there in the water drum, superheated steam, pushed around into the engine room. There's one of the engines, steam turbine, high pressure steam turbines, whirled around at many hundreds of thousands of revs per minute, and transferred all that power into a gearbox through another bulkhead further on down the ship, into the gearbox, onto the propeller shaft, which is no longer existent, but there it goes, straight the way out to the end of the ship. There's a few auxiliary bits of equipment here as well. Look, that looks like some sort of condenser inlet, I would have thought, because the engines need to be cooled down, so it was cooled down by seawater. Fancy being in one of them. So brave blokes did, you know, didn't they? Loads of cannons. These are the real thing. Oil fuel depot pump. Used to pump furnace fuel oil. That's what I was talking about for those boilers down there, like a big thick cruddy crude oil. Used for powering the ships from underground tanks. There used to be a fuel jetty in Portsmouth Harbour, and it was designed to allow the fueling of ships in case our main oil outlets were blockaded by German Navy during the Second World War. Diesel fuel took over from furnace fuel oil in the 1970s. But the three ships I was on, all run on furnace fuel oil, FFO as they call it. Before my time, we had Sea Kings and Wessex helicopters when I was in the Navy. Harriers as well. Western Dragonfly, 1952. Oh, goodness me, it looks so frail. Would you want to put yourself in that? Wow. Miss Gannet. One of the first steam ships. I think it has a combination of a small boiler and then a sail. And when the wind blew, they used to wind in the propeller and let the forces of nature take over. There's a covered slip there, look how high that is. Quite a lot of people here today actually. I prefer to come down here when there's minimal amount. There's some classic car shows down here as well. And 1940s stuff. This Cavalier. There's this fire station. I see the architecture on there. Look, there used to be arches in there. That was probably for when they had horse-drawn fire engines with the big ladders. And they've probably adapted it. Put a big iron girder on the top there and a couple of big pillars to bring it into action again. The modern technology of fire engines. It's like the Admiralty offices there. Look. I think the bell had some sort of significance to river traffic. Probably setting their clocks or their navigational aids, I would have thought. I think some air raid shelters up here and some bomb shelters. So look at those. Go up these stairs. Look at these granite. My goodness me! Haven't made of granite in this place. Blokes must have had muscles as big as Bournemouth. Right. This looks like the officers' quarters. Probably commanders and captains and above. I don't suppose any sub-lieutenants or midshipmen lived here. Beautiful architecture. Had to be somebody important to have a house like that, I would have thought. It's probably quite important to have a house like that now, I would have thought. Got to be very thankful, haven't we, for in the UK here, our lovely seasons that we have. Lovely leaves all falling down. There's bright sunshine, blue sky. Ah, now. Here we go. This is like some sort of bomb shelter, isn't it? In there, yep. Under the road, does they look like tombs, don't they now? I assume they've got a stairway going down there. Everybody came scurrying out of those buildings. The shelters probably wouldn't have taken a direct hit. Just blast protection really. And that looks like an original entry to one. Brickwork looks as though it's chucked together rather rapidly. There you go, another shelter behind there. Interesting to see if there's any painted text on the walls, you know, the ones that you sometimes see saying shelter or take cover. Beautiful architecture. Buildings could tell a tale or two. They'd be quite a good entertainment, wouldn't they? That tree has grown round a cannon. It's a real cannon as well, and that was probably here when Lord Nelson was a midshipman. Maple there, I think it is, judging by the shape. He's been here since Nelson's day. They were mere saplings when Nelson was walking around with his little white make-up face and his little tight pantaloons. Because the Victory actually was laid down here, so it has got some sort of provenance regards Lord Nelson and everything else. I think it was possibly in that slip there when it was first laid down, or in that position. The Little mast flying the colours there, look. Would have been a white ensign 40 or 50 years ago. But okay, we'll do with the Union Jack. There's the dockyard main gate up there, very spectacular feature. The coat of arms and everything above it. We'll have a walk up there in a minute. That's where the guard room and everything else is. The naval provost used to sit up there and watch all the drunken matlows coming in from their run ashore in Chatham. And the stables here. And that large wall up there is Dock Road, and it leads right the way down to the other end of the dockyard. I had a terrible disaster back there in the 50s, I think it was. About 20 odd sea cadets got mown over by a bus that went out of control down the hill. It's in the record books, my goodness me, awful. There's the main gate, the guard room, going down. If you're into that sort of thing, but I'll give that a bit of a body swerve, the old church and stuff like that. I understand that he's quite forgiving, him upstairs. Coming down here is where the ropery is. And that was one of the longest buildings in UK at one time. Navy gun there, Rofers. It's the Medway. Oh well, there's the ropery. There we go, that's a better shot, isn't it? You're walking around all those little bits there and you can get a perfect shot of it there. Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed the little walk around the dockyard. I want to make this a bit of a trip out during the winter months and everything else, because we've still got all the other things to do, all the ships and boats and everything else here, submarine and everything. So we'll give that a go a little bit later in the year.